Okay, I'm Andrew, and I'm here with Mark. Hey, Mark.
Hey, how's it going? I'm excited for this house we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, I'm excited too, and and I think I actually have our audio set, so you will be audible this time, which is good, but more so than before.
That is good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
uh, and and today we're gonna talk through House Logos in Call of the Archons, and
Awesome.
and
Awesome.
I I don't know how voting works with two people, but I vote that we ban the shark song.
I can't promise you that it won't come out, but I'll do my best.
Okay. Well, that's all.
We
That's all
probably
any of
just
us can
mentioning
do.
it, probably just mentioning it gets it into people's heads.
Right. Yeah. Our best is all any of us can do. So go ahead and let's start with our three questions. When you open up a box, a KeyForge deck in Call the Archons, and you see logos on there, what are you hoping to get out of it?
Man, lots of card draw and hand control, like being able to extend your turn longer than normal turn. Um and yeah, being able to play lots and lots of cards. That is my goal when I'm looking for a good logos, a good house logos in a deck.
Yeah, I think generally the big general theme that I see in logos is just expanding the options that are available to you.
Hmm.
Sometimes that's through draw, sometimes that's through archiving stuff to free up room and save stuff for later. Sometimes it's through breaking rules, saying suspend this rule for now, and logos I think has probably the highest randomness factor out of any house as well.
Ain't it the truth?
So there's
Yeah,
a lot of oh we will get whatever we get.
there's a lot. There is a lot of weird stuff going on in logos. Definitely.
Yep. Uh, okay. Do you have a favorite combo in logos?
Man, uh, I think it's pretty hard to not just get this on out in the open. We're talking about logos, one of the two parts of an OTK deck, one turn kill
Mm,
deck.
mm,
We're talking about library access, phase shift, the classic,
mm.
being able to return library access to your hand through Nepenthe Seed from Untamed and be able to play tons and tons and tons of cards. Um, that is an awesome combo. There is, which is great. Right now, a few of my favorite combos is because those decks are extremely rare.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to play Wild Wormhole with library access and Phase Shift with library access.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them allow you to play one extra card after, most of the time, one extra card after playing the other.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's is a great way to get more cards into your hand, get your deck moving, and um, be able to
Yeah.
just keep on powering through the game.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I hear all the really cool kids are doing their library access combo with reverse time nowadays.
Hmm.
So not it's not as
That
reliable,
is
but pretty
a
cool.
fantastic combo. Yes.
Um, all right.
Also a bit easier to get.
Yep. So I think my favorite. This is kind of low hanging fruit, um, but let me have my fun. Library access and time traveler. Um, and
Mm-hmm.
this is because if you can do a library access and a time traveler together, you you're gonna draw three cards when you play. Well, let's say Help from Future Self. You're gonna draw one card when you play the Help from Future Self, plus get the time traveler in your hand. You're gonna play the time traveler, draw 2 cards from it, another card from library access. Probably get to play a lot more. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't necessarily even have to have, phase shift or anything weird like that to just have this put you in a really good position for your next couple of turns.
Oh my goodness. I had someone play a deck against me the other day that had library access and 2 time travelers. It
Mm.
was disgusting. They had won the game by like turn 4 because they had both of
Yeah.
those. They had all 3 of those cards. They had library access and 2 help from future self in their opening hand, and they were going second. It was gross.
Yeah, well, and I think it's magnified by the fact that Logos has a lot of actions that print amber that just have amber printed on them. So, um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so there's a good chance on a turn like that you're just going to be able to generate a lot of amber.
Absolutely.
Cool. Okay, and then what house do you most hope to see printed on your Archon card alongside Logos?
Hmm. Definitely my favorite 3 house combo, and I
Mm-hmm.
still haven't gotten a deck of this yet, is Dis Logos Shadows.
Uh huh.
So having those 3 together is amazing.
Yep.
But whenever I see Logos in there, there's a part of me that wishes to see Untamed in there as well. um, and then I start looking at specific cards, but
Mm-hmm.
both of those, all 3 of those, run through my mind when I see Logos.
Hey, guess what? Guess what I opened at and played with at my tournament today.
What?
I'm holding. You can't see my camera right now, but it is Dis Logo Shadows, and it's not very
Yeah,
good. So it can happen.
nice, nice. I
Um,
believe it.
but my first deck I opened was Dis Logo Shadows as well. Um, I think my favorite combo at this point is to see next to Logos is Brobnar, and I know it might
Interesting.
sound a little weird, but um, because Logos really helps to open up options, I feel like it helps Brobnar to be able to save, let's say save a war song for a turn where it'll really count, elute the bodies, um,
Mm.
be able to phase shift something out, and I think this was really uh, heavily influenced for me by my second, I think second deck that I got, having Logos and Brobnar and having those work together to be able to get a Cleafy Dragon on the table.
Nice.
So I felt like it was a situation where Logos really enabled the Brobnar to do well, and then the Brobnar in turn helped the Logos pieces that wanted to stay on the board be able to stay and do their thing.
Yeah, Logos is a great enabler.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a I just opened my first time traveler deck the other day,
Awesome.
and every single time I'm able to get a good Logos combo going,
Mm-hmm.
it opens up the options for either my Untamed or Dis in my deck
Mm-hmm.
to just be able to go crazy. So I
Yep.
had a good Logos combo. I ended up having 7 or 8 Dis cards in my hand at the end of my
Yeah.
turn. I was able to have a great turn the next turn with Dis.
Right.
So it's a great enabler for other houses.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Cool. All right. Let's go ahead and dig into the cards then. We will start with commons and go with actions to begin.
Hmm.
And we will start with effervescent principle, which causes each player to lose half their amber, and you, the player, gain a chain.
Yeah, like being able like this card has its uses. I don't like to use it all the time.
Yeah.
I would say I discard it half the time at
Yeah.
least, and because it's not always useful. But when it is, it's amazing. So,
Yeah.
uh, I love and hate this card.
Yeah, I feel it's in a similar niche to bait and switch in that um, it's it's most useful on a turn right after I forge, um,
Mm-hmm.
if my opponent is on the verge of forging, uh, but it is it's not as good as bait and switch, right?
Right.
Um, if your opponent has 6 and you have 0, bait and switch still makes your opponent lose half of their amber, but you gain it and you don't get a chain. So,
Right.
um,
Yeah.
I guess there are some situations where this is what you want and bait and switch isn't, but I don't think there are many situations like that.
Yeah, the chain is really
Yeah.
what gets me with this one.
Yep.
They have to have a lot of amber for me to want to play them, and I have to have very little. So
But it
it's
only
it's pretty
lasts a turn.
situational.
Yeah, I know. I know. I feel the same way.
Yeah. At least it's in Logos where chains don't matter as much.
Right. Right. Yeah, and if you have 3 mothers on the table, then you might not care about that chain.
Exactly. Exactly. Hmm.
Okay. Cool. Next up is Fogify. Gain an amber. Your opponent can't use creatures to fight on their next turn.
Oh my goodness. This card is so annoying to play against, especially if you have like a Sanctum out on the board or Brobnar or yeah, even Dis out on the board because not being able to fight is like right when your opponent has put out a creature like maybe they phase shift out a Shaffles or an Ember Imp or
Mm-hmm.
something, and being able to only that play a certain amount of cards or being able to only reap with your 2 cards that you have
Mm-hmm.
out is super annoying.
Yeah, yeah, and I feel like Logos does tend to have a lot of smaller creatures that it wants to not get attacked, so it ends up working pretty well. It's worth noting this is the same as Fogbank from Untamed.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Okay. Next up
Although
we
I
have.
don't think Fogbank gives you an amber. I might be
It
wrong.
does.
Okay.
I'm gonna double check here, but it does. Uh, Cards. Fog. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. They just have different art.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep.
Nice.
Okay. So
Now that we got that straightened out.
yeah, very important, very critical. Um, well, some people might have thought they had the same art too. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So next up is lab work, which gains you an amber and you archive a card.
This is
Solid.
one of the cards I always look for if I see logos on my card, on my identity card.
Uh huh.
Um, it is such an amazing card, being
Yep.
able to not only gain an amber and archive a card, like it essentially decrease your hand size so you can draw more on your next turn. It's an awesome
Yeah.
card. It's a 2 card swing, and 1 card, and just the fact of being able to save a card for later
Yeah.
is amazing. Archive, like I've mentioned in another video, in the other video, is such a strong ability in Call of the Archons. Such a strong ability.
Yeah. I think it. Yeah. Like it's such a good enabler for, and we talked about those being an enabler, but you use this on a bait and switch or whatever. It turns a card that is maybe like kind of annoying to have in the early game into it's just out of the way until later. It's great.
Hmm. Yeah, archive is essentially safer than say like even a master plan because a master plan from Shadows is an artifact, so your
Mm-hmm.
opponent can use it if they gain access to it, they
Right.
can destroy it. But there's literally only 1 card in the game that can destroy your archived cards.
Yep.
So
Yes. Yes, and we will cover it. Okay. Cool. And then we covered library access kind of in the beginning, but library
hmm
access. It does not. Importantly, it does not cause you to draw a card after playing it itself.
hmm
Um, but every card after that, you will draw a card, which can be quite good.
yes, it can be very very good. But also at the same time, it can fizzle.
Yeah.
Say you play it. and you only have 2 Logos cards in your
Yep.
hand. You play those 2 Logos cards. You draw 2 cards, and neither of them are Logos, and it fizzles. So
Yeah.
I feel like that's what happens most of the time. Library
Yep.
access gets a bad reaction from people because they've seen the OTK decks and they're like, "Oh, library access. What are they going to do now?" But I feel like it's not that bad most of the time.
Yeah, yeah, and it is one that benefits a lot from lab work, right? If you can throw your
Mm-hmm.
library access in until later on when you have more logos cards, maybe it can be, if you have a library access and lab work in your hand, you're probably better off using lab work to archive the library access than playing the library access before you play lab work.
Right.
Um,
Especially if the lab work is the only other card you have in your
right.
hand.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Okay. So next up we have phase shift, which lets you play a non-logos card on the turn that you play it.
Important to note, phase shift, you get to play 1 Logos card, non-Logos card per phase shift
Yep.
that you play. The ruling from the development team on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm actually happy with that ruling. I think it makes this card way more useful than just being able to, like, say you have 2 phase shifts. Another one sitting in your hand would be useless. So
Right.
I'm pretty happy with that ruling. Um,
Yeah.
it's like a little mini Witch of the Wilds, just
Mm-hmm.
being able to play a non-house card on your turn is great.
Yep. Yeah. It leads to fun, interesting situations that wouldn't otherwise come up.
Right.
So I like it. Um, cool. And then Twin Bolt Emission gains you an amber. You deal 2 damage to one creature and 2 damage to a different creature.
It's
Pretty
a
good.
great card. Like, it's good removal for houses like Disc, Shadows,
Mm-hmm.
Untamed, those small annoying creatures that can just be gotten rid of with Twin Bolt Mission is
Yeah.
awesome. So, and it gains you an amber on top of that, so it makes it more worth it to play.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, if you have like a couple of these, you're doing work.
Yeah. Just be careful if there's only one creature on the other side and you happen to use
Yes.
this card. Just be prepared and know
Yeah.
ahead of time what creature you're gonna play it on your side.
Right. Yeah. There's no May in there. Yep.
Hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we have the best card in the whole game. Uh, the
I
most fun
love
card in the
this
whole
card.
game, Wild Wormhole, which
I
huh.
I love Wild Wormhole. Like, actually the most fun I've had with this card is I have it as a Maverick in Dis
Mm-hmm.
with 2 gateways to Dis and 2 um of the stun all non-Mars creatures
Mm-hmm.
uh card.
Phosphorus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Phosphorus Stars. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And oh my goodness, it's such a gamble every single time I play it. I'm like, oh man, am I going to like
Who
regret playing
knows?
this? Yeah, who knows?
Right.
But it's always fun. Always fun playing that card.
Yep. Awesome. Yeah. It is fun, and I think it cards like this can lead to just some amazing situations, and also uh, keep you from getting too serious about the game.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I'm never sad to see this card in my hand.
yeah, yeah, and then the other I think thing I really enjoy about this card is going through and trying to figure out all the things that are being tossed about there, and is that this card? I'm not totally sure, but
Mhm. Mhm.
fun stuff.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure this is Fuzzy Gruin, but I can't be totally sure.
Could be.
Yeah,
Maybe we'll find out when we see Fuzzy Gruin later.
yeah, maybe. Well, no, yeah, we'll see. All right. Cool. And then the one common artifact here is Library of Babel, which exhausts to draw a card.
Yep.
The most
Yeah,
quintessentially Logos thing you can do.
more card draw. You know, it's not the most useful artifact all the
Yeah,
time. I'd say unless you have like three of them out, then
yeah,
it starts to become a bit more useful. But a lot of times it can kind of just be um, like an advanced draw back into your hand. You
right.
know.
Yeah. Two-thirds of the time, it doesn't do anything useful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think. Well, we'll see some. There's some cards that really like to trigger off of artifacts, and if you have like a Valen Analyst or something like that out, then this becomes a lot better. Um, but yeah, as is, it's yeah, two-thirds of the time pointless.
Yeah.
Um, okay, then we have on into the creatures. We have Bat Drone, which has 2 power, skirmish, and fight steal 1, which is pretty cool.
Bat drone.
Oh
I sing that every time now that I play
man,
it.
the you know what it says. The worst part is the singing. Uh, yeah, and
No.
and this also the same as
Umbra.
Umbra. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but with the slight difference that I think Umbra is elf and thief, and Badron is just robot.
Correct. Correct. Yes. So this one would be stunned by EMP blast
Right,
if that came. Um,
right.
so yeah, Bat Drone, great card. One of the only stealing cards in Logos,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
depending on what other cards you have in your deck.
Right.
We'll get to another one later, but yeah, one of the
Yeah.
only stealing cards in Logos. Usually, if I'm on a Logos turn, I'm not expecting to take Amber from my opponent
Mm-hmm.
too much,
Mm-hmm.
unless I have multiple copies of this out on the board. Usually, they don't survive very long, but um,
So okay. So challenge. Let's count the steal cards because I actually think you might be surprised by the time we get to the end. But um, I mean it's no shadows, but let's keep count.
okay,
So we're
so
at one.
one
Yep.
steal.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. And yeah, I think Patron's good. I wish that number were higher, but it is a really nice card.
Yes, yes,
Um,
I'm a fan.
yep. Cool. Okay. Then possibly my least favorite card in the entire game, Dexter. Um,
I'm never happy to see this guy. I,
uh-uh.
he has an annoying face. His body's annoying. He is just
His effect is annoying.
his effect is annoying.
Doesn't
The
even
fact that
have
he's put
doesn't even
back on
have
the
flavor
top of your deck.
text.
Right, yeah. Everything's annoying about this
So
card.
I think yeah, I think I was thinking about this earlier why I hate Dexter so much, and I think part of it is I feel like so much of Logos, and this applies to effervescent principle too. So much of Logos is about like expanding your options and go do things. And Dexter, uh, his effect is to stop your opponent from doing something. Right? He captures,
Mhm.
so he slows your opponent down, but he also slows you down, and he slows you down possibly worse than your opponent because I think a card I think a card might be more valuable than an amber, and so I feel like if you can
Mhm.
get him, he's a good archive target. You might get into a situation where a clutch Dexter can swing the game, but
Especially near the end of the game,
yeah,
but only near the end of the game.
yeah,
Like I don't like playing this card early.
yeah,
Usually end up discarding it early, unless
yeah,
it's to stop forging a key or whatever, and then I discard it later. But even then, that's slowing me down. So,
yeah.
um,
I was once playing against somebody and they purged my Dexter and I almost hugged them.
I there was one time I played against a deck with 5 Dexters in it.
Oof.
5. Yeah, it was disgusting. But that's when it can really be annoying.
Yeah,
Having
it's
5 Dexters.
constant. Yeah.
Yeah, but I ended up being able to purge like all of them. So almost all of them. So
Hmm.
to stop him from capturing basically a whole key back
Yeah.
from me.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it was an interesting game. I ended up winning probably because he had 5 Dexters,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
yeah,
Yes. Those are slots that could have been used by other cards. Um,
exactly.
okay. Next up we have Doc Bookton, which reaps and draws a card.
Yeah, I
Pretty
love
good.
this card so much more than Library of Babel. Doc Bookton, um, especially with the upgrades in this game. We'll go
Yeah.
over a really good one later. But yeah, Doc Bookton, I'm a fan. Great card. I have a deck with 3 Doc Booktons in it, and
Nice.
having all 3 out is amazing. 3 Amber plus 3 cards. I don't care if the plus 3 cards aren't of the house anymore.
Uh,
Being able to just get that Amber and draw a card is so much better than just drawing a card.
uh-huh. Yeah, I agree a lot. I would I would still skipping a couple cards ahead. I would still rather have Mother than Doc Bookton every time,
Mm,
but I do like Doc Bookton a lot.
yes, yes, I do. Yeah. Um, Plus the it's a surprisingly beefy creature
Yeah.
with 5 power.
Yep.
Being able to sit out on the board for a while, it's pretty hard to get rid of
Yep.
unless you're intentional about it.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. For sure. It takes deliberate effort to be gone.
Hmm.
Um. Cool. Okay. Then we have Doctor Escotera.
The
Four
second
power.
most useless creature in Logos.
The what?
The second most useless creature in
Oh,
Logos.
well, it just depends. I mean, yeah, no, it is hard because the best case scenario is that this is a beefier dust pixie,
Hmm. Yes, that's
um,
true.
and
Best case
that's
scenario.
okay.
Yeah.
Like a beefy dust pixie is okay.
Yeah. So like later on in the game, I always hope that this guy doesn't show up at the beginning in an
Right.
opening hand. Um, Otherwise, I hope to at that point, if it's the beginning of the game, I hope to get him out of my hand. Hope to reap with him one time before he disappears. So,
Right.
but
Reap with them one time, send them to the abyss, and hope you cycle your deck by the end.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Cool. Then we have Ganymede Archivist, and I actually think that uh, short of Mother, I think this is my one of my favorite creatures in Logos. Ganymede Archivist reaps and archives a card. It is the lab work that keeps on giving.
Hmm. I always target Ganymede Archivist um,
Yeah.
when I'm looking for cards to get rid of.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, it's yeah. Like I said before about archive.
Yeah. Yeah. No
No,
archiving for
yeah,
you. Yeah.
yeah. I don't like my opponent archiving. I don't
Yep.
like it.
Cool. And then we have uh, Mother. Just always happy to get Mother on the board.
Mm-hmm.
You refill your hand to one additional card, and like you said about Doc Buckton, it's beefy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Multiple mothers can be very good.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, yeah, that mother is a great card. It's hard to get rid of, so it ends up sitting out there for a bit longer.
Yep.
Uh, than sometimes you want it to if it's your opponent, or then sometimes you're expecting when it's yours. So,
Yep.
yeah, great card. I love my mother,
Aw.
both my
Um,
real mother and this mother.
yeah. Next up, we have Brad. Uh,
Yes, good old Brad.
yep. Quixo, the adventurer, or it probably. I say Quixo. The truth is, it probably is uh, Kehoe, and I say that because, like, I think it's supposed to be a reference to uh, Don Quixote. Um,
I thought that too
uh huh.
until I saw him actually confirm on a Facebook post that it's
Oh.
pronounced like so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I
okay.
have to find it. It's buried somewhere
Okay.
on that page, but it is there that he actually said it's pronounced Quixo.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah,
Cool.
so
Well,
yeah, I'll have
well
to
then.
send that to you sometime.
Yeah. Well, I trust you. Uh, cool. Yeah, but it's nice. I mean, 3 power skirmish is good. The draw card part is useful a third of the time. Um, but if you have a couple of these, you can uh, have decent board control and be getting draw out of it. Um, I think where like this and Doc Bookton and Library of Babel, if you have a deck full of all of those things, you can end up in a situation where like you don't have Logos cards in your hand, but it makes sense to play Logos, and then as you're just getting stuff done, you're drawing up, and you end your turn with 10 cards in your hand, which is going to set up your next turn great. So occasionally these
Right.
draws do add up to something great. Um, it's when your hand is dropping below 6 that they stop mattering.
Yeah, yeah. And also just to add on top of it, just
Mm-hmm.
being able to do damage and draw a card. He doesn't get bothered by it because he has skirmish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
great card.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Okay, and the last common we have Titan Mechanic, who has 6 power, so beefy again. And when it's on a flank, each key, yours and your opponent's, costs 1 less.
I have a deck with 3 Titan mechanics in it.
Mm,
It's
fast games.
ridiculous. Yeah, yeah, it can be fast. I haven't played enough games with it yet to figure that out, but um, yeah, um, it's an interesting card, especially if you have 4 of them out that you could. I've never seen 4 out. I've seen 3 out in a game before.
Hmm.
Um,
Oh, on flanks.
on flanks,
Whew.
yeah, 3 out on flank. Um, yeah,
That's
so
just silly.
yeah, very silly. Key cost,
Yeah.
supply and demand when Titan mechanics are out.
Cool. All right. So on to the uncommons,
Moving on to the uncommons.
and we'll start with Bouncing Death Quirk, which destroys an enemy creature and a friendly creature, and then you can keep doing that as long as it's possible to do both. So you can't, if you run out of creatures to destroy, you can't keep destroying your opponent's creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but
But
can be
the
pretty good.
important thing to also remember is that no matter if you have creatures on your side or not, you can destroy an enemy creature.
Yeah, that first round triggers no matter what.
Yes,
Yep.
yes. It's a great way to just get rid of any creature that you want, no
Yeah.
matter if there's Shadow Self next to it, Taunt next to it. It just gets rid of that creature, and your um, worries are solved for you.
Yeah, yeah, it's good. I mean, you're choosing which of your own and which of their creatures to kill, so it
Yeah.
makes sense. Cool. Okay. Dimension Door. For the remainder of the turn, any amber you would gain from reaping is stolen from your opponent instead. I have yet to find this very useful.
Number 2, by the way,
What?
this is the second card that allows for stealing.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, good point. I, th-
Um,
I thought, is this the door to the bathroom?
that
Okay.
is one way to interpret that as well, but
Yeah.
it is that
Yes.
type of
It is.
card
Yes.
sometimes.
Yeah, and you're right. And this does it is interesting because I even like KeyForge Compendium has this as Amber Thieves. I was thinking about this the other day though, and I just want to say that I do count this as stealing. However, the effect of this card is to have your opponent lose Amber, right? Because you were going to get the Amber anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the only thing that changes because of this card is that your opponent loses it.
which can be amazing.
Yeah.
But this card is super hard to set up,
Yeah.
and when you have creatures in your deck, say these common creatures that are in your deck, like Bat Drone
Mm-hmm.
or Quixo the Adventurer, who are best used when fighting,
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense to reap with
Yeah.
those creatures. So especially if those ones are like some of the more common cards
Yeah.
um, in Logos, it's just really, really hard to use this card well most of the time.
Yeah. Now, if
Um,
you have this with a couple Doc Booktons and 3 Ganymede Archivists, then fantastic.
right. But then you have to make sure that if you have more creatures out, then they have Amber. You're only
Right.
able to steal Amber for the rest of the turn. You can't
Right.
reap at all. So
Right.
it's not that great of a card all the time.
Yeah.
It's another usual
Yeah.
discard for me.
Yep. Yep. Fair enough. All right. And here's a card that is always good and sometimes very good. Interdimensional Graph. Gain an Amber, and if an opponent forges a key on their next turn, you get the rest.
Awesome.
3.
Yeah. Um, it's like a little mini too much to protect.
Yeah.
This is where you want to have your opponent go way over 6, and you play this card, and it's awesome.
Yep.
I'd say at least half the time I just end up playing it for the Amber.
Yep.
No matter whether they're going to be forging a key or not, just to keep on moving. But yeah, fantastic card if you can get it off at the right time.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's never bad.
Right. It's never a bad card to play.
Next up, we have number 4, which is also, I would say, never bad, sometimes really good. Neurosiphon. Gain an Amber, and if your opponent still has more than you after you gain that one, then you steal 1 and draw a card.
Yep. Number 3 stealing card.
No, this is 4. 4.
Oh yeah, interdimensional graph. Forgot about that. Did not
It doesn't
that
say
one.
steal, but it clearly is.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Then giving it to you. They're gifting you their Amber for you using that card.
I
It's not
mean, if
stealing.
you slice them thin there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. But I love Neurosiphon.
Yeah.
For a while, I thought this card didn't work properly on the Crucible, where I play most of my games. It's because I would have 1 less than my opponent, and then it wouldn't steal 1 from them. And then I started realizing, oh, but I gained my Amber first,
Right.
and then see if they have more than me. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's not, you can't choose the order of that. It always goes that way.
Right. You always read top down on the card.
Yep. Cool. Positron Bolt is the thing that always makes me put my Dew Fairies to the outside of my Witch of the Eye. Gain an Amber, you deal 3 damage to a flank creature, and then it goes inward from there, doing 2 and then 1.
Yep. When you see Logos on the other side of the board, it definitely makes you think about what you were just mentioning, is the order you put your creatures down. What creatures are on the flank? Being able to protect a higher power creature by putting it just inside the flank can be really great. So being able to protect a 3 power creature, and then in order to protect a 2 power creature, it has to have 2 creatures on either side. So just make sure it makes you think more about positioning.
Yep. Agreed. All right. Then we have Remote Access, which gains you an Amber, and you use an opponent's artifact as if it were yours.
Yeah, I like the card art on this one. I like that his arm suddenly turned blue and he's punching himself like it's a Gauntlet of Command or something like that.
This brings back bad memories of my childhood.
Stop hitting yourself. I wish they put that as
stop hitting yourself.
Stop hitting yourself.
Yeah. Too real. Too real.
Yeah. So Yeah, use an opponent's artifact as it were yours. It's like a little mini Nexus. You
Yep.
know, one time you get the amber, you get to use the artifact. It's not, it doesn't destroy it like Poltergeist does, but yeah, great card.
Yeah. And if you use it on something with Omni, then it does destroy it. So there's that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I did not mention that. Yes, that is
You,
true.
you can even remote access your opponent's Whispering Reliquary to put the Whispering Reliquary back in their hand.
You can.
Yeah. Why
I
wouldn't you?
have
But you
not
can.
done that. I have not done that, but you can do that.
It's exciting. It's a lot of excitement. Um, all right. Then we have Scrambler Storm, which gains you an amber and prevents your opponent from playing action cards on their next turn.
Oh man, Scrambler Storm. I don't really know. So with cards like this, I can't ever really tell if I'm the one playing it how much it affects my opponent.
Right.
But when it's played against me, I can kind of see how it affects my opponent when I play it. But
Right.
so when it's played against me, I hate it.
Yep.
Usually, at least half the cards I'm about to play are action cards,
Yep.
at least. So not being able to do half of your turn is extremely annoying because
Yeah.
usually the cards enable the creatures that you're putting out and
Yeah.
using on the board. So
Yep. Yeah, I've definitely changed what was the right thing for me to do based on having this card played against me. So
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
closes off those options, and I would put that in the category of just being like, hey, the rules are broken.
Yeah.
Just turn this part of the game off for now. All right. Next up, we have Sloppy Lab Work, which gains an amber, archives a card, and then discards a card. So my question to you, Mark, is: do you prefer your lab work sloppy or neat?
Sloppy.
Yeah.
I love sloppy lab work.
Yep.
It's an amazing card to play on the first turn.
Yep.
Being able to play a card, archive a card, and discard a card, and draw 2 new cards on the first turn is insane. It's one of the most amazing first turns you can get,
Yep.
and any other time during the game too, being able to do that is awesome.
Yeah.
So especially if you're able to get rid of all the cards in your hand, play sloppy lab work, archive that last card, and then not need to discard anything, it's
Yep.
even better. So
Yeah, and I think one of the ways I think about it is like, let's say I'm playing this in my opening hand, right? And 3 of my other 6 cards are from the same house. Well, this leaves 3 cards, right?
mm-hmm.
And out of those 3, there's a really good chance that one of them is much worse than having a 4th card in that house that I already have 3 of, and still a little bit worse than a lot of cards I could draw. And so I think people get feel sketchy sometimes about discarding, but you really can just open up really cool lines of play by embracing it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of times discarding is a huge part of the game. It's a way bigger part of the game than I originally imagined that it would be. Um, Sometimes I just discard a bunch of cards out of my hand just because I don't want to use them and they're just sitting in my hand, so I just get rid of them.
Right.
It I've been learning more how to discern. I should just get rid of these cards so I can draw new ones. Like
Yep.
so, yeah.
Yep. Cool. Okay. Next, we're into artifacts now.
Mm-hmm.
And we have Anomaly Exploiter, which exhausts to destroy a damaged creature.
Yeah, this is great, especially if you only have a couple of small creatures out, and you want to destroy a big creature.
Yeah.
That's as simple as that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, for sure. Having this like with a Quixo or Bat Drone would be really fantastic. I haven't ended up in that situation, but it would be really cool.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's a lot of fun. I'll give you a spoiler.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, then we have Spectral Tunneler, which gains you an amber when you play it, and then exhausts. When you exhaust it, you choose a creature for the remainder of the turn. That creature is considered a flank creature and gains Reap. Draw a card. Um, so I mean that's a complicated effect there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, what this it is really complicated, and there's a few layers to it. Like
Mm-hmm.
first layer, reap draw a card that stacks with any other reap draw a card abilities. So if you reap
Right.
with another reap draw a card like Doc Bookton, you are able to draw two.
Right.
Second layer, start thinking more about logos, being able to choose what creature is a flank creature, like a Titan mechanic. And say you're having a really good logos turn, you use Spectral Tunneler on a Titan mechanic in the middle of your battle line, and you phase shift a key charge, and you're
Mm-hmm.
able to forge a key for way less than what you
Mm-hmm.
originally could.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to change what creature is on a
Mm-hmm.
flank or not is also really good. Say you have shoulder armor on a Titan mechanic, you're
Mm-hmm.
able to attack with that Titan mechanic, and
Mm-hmm.
they have two extra armor and two extra
Mm-hmm.
power. So it can be really, really useful.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking you could even. There's even a case where you use this and target an enemy creature, so you can, so you can drop Positron Bolt in the middle of their battle line or
Mm,
something.
yes.
Um,
Yeah.
Next level KeyForge plays. But it does seem to me like, probably 80% of the time or something, this has the same effect as Library of Babel, right? But it is just a little bit more
Okay.
flexible, and it gains you the amber when you play it. So I mean, and I would
Hmm.
love to have a Library of Babel that prints an amber. You know, um, I'd be much more excited about that card. So already I like that, but then it just has like a little bit of extra secret sauce there with the flank thing. That
Hmm. Yeah, that being able to call that creature a flank creature just changes that.
mm-hmm,
That
mm-hmm,
makes it next level.
yeah,
It makes it a next level card.
yep, okay, cool. All right. Next up we have Brain Eater, which is 6 power, and after a creature is destroyed fighting Brain Eater, you draw a card. Um,
Yep.
I mean,
I
it's mostly like a buff Quixo in a certain sense, right?
mm-hmm. Yeah, they gave it 6 power because it doesn't have skirmish,
Right.
so it can survive a little bit longer and at least kill one creature,
Yeah.
destroy one creature before it is itself destroyed. And I used to be a lot more like I don't know what it is about its art or about the name Brain Eater. I used to be a lot more scared of this creature coming out. But
Mm-hmm.
it's not that amazing
Yeah.
to me. Now that I've come to know the mechanics of the game more, it's not that amazing of a card. Um,
Yeah.
but it is a beefy card,
Right.
and it's another um, card to add to the stack of draw card abilities
Yeah.
and logos.
Yep. Yeah. No, and you're right. It is a beefy card in a faction that doesn't have a lot of beefy cards. So
Yeah,
so
yeah,
there's that too. Okay.
yeah.
Then we have Novu Archaeologist, which is 4 power and can exhaust to archive a card from your discard pile.
Die.
Well, so I was thinking about this compared to Witch of the Eye, and it's interesting because Witch of the Eye, right, reaps and you pull a card from your discard into your hand.
Hmm.
Um, so the one advantage that Witch of the Eye has is that you gain that amber, and another advantage it has is that you pull the card in and you have it immediately. So Witch of the Eye is really good at pulling up, an untamed action, right? Because you can pull it up and use it right away.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
Archaeologist, you're probably almost better off not picking a logos card to pull out, right? You're almost you're probably better off picking out something that you're going to want to use in a different house on your next turn. It seems like. Does that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. Um, Targeting what you think, what house you think you might have more cards of the next
Hmm.
turn, knowing what cards you've played, realizing what you might pull out of your deck, keeping in mind all that.
Yeah.
Um, Being able, there's a bit of thinking that goes into choosing what card you pull out because you
Right.
probably, this card probably won't, sorry, if you have a bunch of logos out, it probably won't survive till your next turn. So you just
Right.
need to be aware of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Hmm.
Then we have Research Smoko, which has only 2 power, and when it's destroyed, you archive the top card of your deck. So it's the archive version of Wild Wormhole,
Hmm.
essentially.
But it is
Cool.
easier to, um, it can be easier to know what you're doing with it, especially if you have Dexter in your in your deck.
Sure.
If you want to get Dexter out of there, just
Yeah.
destroy him, use Research Smoko, and he's out.
Yeah.
He's into your archive. So
Yeah.
that's one way to get rid of him.
Yeah. Yeah. Not a bad deal.
um, yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Hmm.
Then we have Valen Analyst, which is 2 power, wimpy little thing, but each time you use an artifact, you gain 1. That can be pretty good.
It's an ongoing effect. You don't need to reap him. You don't need to use that action.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing effect. So as soon as he enters play, you start using those artifacts,
Yep.
and you gain an amber every single time you use one.
Yeah, including on other houses' turns. I think my like one issue with this card is I feel like it's often it often ends up being out in situations where it's not that good,
Hmm.
and because it's only 2 power, if it's a situation where it is good, it's not going to stick around long.
Right. Right.
So
You want to be able to
it's a
get the
little iffy.
artifacts out first, and
Right.
then use him. But
Right. Yeah. Kind of iffy.
oftentimes not a whole lot of control over that.
Yeah. Okay. Then we're into upgrade territory. We have experimental therapy, which stuns your creature and exhausts it, but also makes it belong to all houses. Um, I feel like if you have good board control, this you have a chance of being able to someday use that creature again. But uh, otherwise, it's just going to get killed real fast.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
it's basically a sign that says "kill me."
yeah, and as somebody at the tournament I was at today pointed out, it's a little bit of what we would call a win more card in that if you have that board control to the point that you're going to be able to actually get use out of this, then you are probably going to win whether you had it or not.
Hmm.
Um,
Another way to look at
mhm.
this card is it's a fantastic way to get one of your opponent's cards out of the loop. So
Yes, I
they can
know.
only they can
Yeah,
only ready their cards at the end of their turn. So this stuns
right.
them and exhausts them.
Yeah,
They can't use it on the next turn or the next turn.
yeah.
So it can be pretty amazing if you use it on your opponent's card. Just need to be careful that
Can
you
be
know
really.
that
Yeah,
that like you need to be ready to get rid of it.
right. Yeah, you have a 2 turn timer going.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And then last uncommon here we have rocket boots, which give a creature fight reap. If this is the first time this creature was used this turn, ready it.
Wee.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty cool. I love throwing this on Doc Bookton.
Mhm.
That's fantastic.
Yep. I, Quickstow, also Bat
Mm-hmm.
Drone, all
Mm-hmm.
those common creatures is amazing.
Yeah.
Um, One thing that I was confused about at first with it was when you want to unstun a creature.
Mm-hmm.
When you want to use the creature to unstun it, it doesn't ready itself again because you didn't fight or reap with it. So
Ah, right.
got to be careful. When you place this on a stunned creature, it will not ready the creature again. So
Right.
place it on
Good
a
point.
creature that you are able to use that
Yeah.
turn.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're right. That turn matters because this is another big kill me sign that you're putting on your creature.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. Cool. On to the rares. And we'll start with Knowledge is Power, which
Yes. Yeah.
lets so you get to choose to either archive a card or you count up your cards in your archives and gain that much amber.
Yeah. It's like I haven't ever been able to use this card actually to great effect
Right.
besides archiving a card.
Yeah, I think I've only ever seen this in like a deck that had two of these and no other archive effects. So it was like,
Yeah, because
uh,
if let's think about this. If this card is in the deck, it's taking away a slot from another card that can archive. So
yeah,
it's just not the greatest.
yeah,
But if you happen to be able to gain 3 amber off of it, good for you.
yeah,
Like that's amazing. It's very rare, but
yep, yep, for sure.
yeah.
Okay, random access archives. Gain the
Hmm.
amber, archive the top card of your deck. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's like a little archive. It's kind of like Research Smoko a bit, but you
Yeah,
gain an amber for it when you play it. So
yeah, and this is safer than Wild Wormhole.
yes, yes. At least you're archiving it, and it doesn't go into
Yeah,
play right away. So
yeah. All right. Reverse time. Gain an amber. Swap your deck and your discard pile. Shuffle your deck. Woo.
yeah, yeah. Reverse time. This coupled with, like you were saying earlier, library access. This coupled with help from future self
Yeah.
or time traveler, just multiplies your
I
ability to draw and play cards.
yeah, I
It's
mean honestly even like just having if you had a good opening, and you had some good creatures that some of them made it to the discard pile and you do this and okay, that's what I'm getting now. It can be pretty fantastic.
yes.
Even without the crazy combo things, it's still a pretty good card.
Hmm. Especially if you just played a really good action card or something like that, or
Yeah.
one of your really good creatures just got destroyed. Being able to play this and get that back, hopefully pretty soon. If you're able to play with a smaller discard pile, it's better. But
Yep.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Cool. All right. Chaos Portal is an artifact that exhausts. You choose a house and you reveal the top card of your deck, and if it is of that house, you play it.
And if it is not of that house, you just put it back, I
Right.
believe. Right.
Right, because it
Okay.
says reveal. Yep.
Yeah.
It doesn't say discard.
Yeah.
Yep.
I haven't played with this card very much. Before the Age of Ascension houses were being were announced,
Uh-huh.
I loved speculating that the creatures on it were from a new house, a new underwater house, and
Uh-huh.
that might still be true for future sets, but I
Yeah.
just don't
Yeah.
know. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Yep.
it looks like a fun card to play. I've never had it in any of my decks, but it looks like a really fun card to play.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Um, yeah, and if that thing is in one of the 7 existing houses, I'll be interested to see which one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess my money would be on Brobnar for that thing, and then for the ship, I don't maybe Shadows or something, but
And then the
who
squid,
knows?
there's 3 things in it. There's a
Oh yeah,
squid, there's a boat,
man,
there's like a T-Rex there. I would
it's
think the T-Rex
chaos.
would be, it's like an underwater T-Rex if you look at its ridge, the back.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know.
man.
It's weird.
Which way is up? Okay, then
Yeah.
we have more randomness. Crazy Killing Machine.
Mm-hmm.
It
I, I
exhausts. Uh huh.
I love the randomness of logos, by the way.
Yeah,
It just makes the game so much
yeah,
fun, and you just don't know sometimes what's gonna happen, and it's awesome.
yeah.
Uh,
Totally. Um, okay, yeah. So it exhausts, and you discard the top card of each player's deck. Check the houses on those, and destroy creature or artifact matching those houses. So you should theoretically be destroying 2 cards. And if you didn't, then Crazy Killing Machine blows itself up.
Hmm. Yeah. So yeah, really cool note about this, by the way, is obviously it could backfire on you.
Yep.
Say you discard a card on their side and on your side. Say both of those cards match cards on their side. That's fantastic. Good for you. Like
Right.
that's ideal. Say the cards both match one on each of the sides. That's okay. You just get rid of each card. But say
Yeah.
both match cards only on your side.
Yeah.
That's a bad deal. That's when you don't
Yep.
want to use them. So
Right.
obviously, if you have more options on their side, it's easier to use this to a good effect.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And most likely to trigger to actually like let you blow 2 things up if you and your opponent have matching houses.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Mobius Scroll is next. It exhausts. You archive itself and up to 2 cards from your hand. Um, so at that point, you'll have all 3 of those cards in your archives. That seems pretty good.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty good, but the thing is, it's an artifact, so
Yeah.
its effect doesn't take place right away.
Yeah.
Um, but the upside to that is you get to archive 2 cards instead of one. So say for like a lab work.
Right.
So and it can be any cards, and later you pull it out, you can put it out again, archive another 2 cards later.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good cycling.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like it's on a track that goes on forever without ending.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like its flavor text.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, there was a scroll that began. Once upon a time.
Oh man. That's actually one of my favorite screensavers from like when I was a kid. It was a Mobius strip and an ant or a series of ants, I think,
Oh my
walking along
goodness,
the Mobius strip. Is
that's
weird.
awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Next up is Pocket Universe, which can exhaust to move an amber from your pool to it, and then you can spend those when you're forging keys. Mark, why would I want to? Why would I want to put my amber on an artifact?
It is risky, especially if your opponent has discs, shadows, or logos in their deck. Those or even what other ones? Basically any artifact control. It's risky if you're playing against it.
Mm,
But the thing is, that amber cannot be stolen
right.
from you
Or captured.
or captured exactly because it's in its own universe
Right.
essentially with this card. There's a
Right.
shadows card like this as
Yep.
well. But um,
Yep.
yeah, being able to lower the amount of amber in your pool and keep it safe, quote unquote,
Yeah.
for a bit, and it also, in my experience, usually catches your opponent off guard.
Mm,
Um, when they look at how much amber you have in your pool and
right.
don't catch that you have amber on Pocket Universe,
Right.
you're able to forge a key earlier than they expect if they're not
Right.
paying attention. So,
Right.
um,
Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, my favorite um, alternative version of this is to have my opponent play Ether Spider. Okay.
yes, yes, it's
Um,
basically like Pocket Universe on their side of the board.
yeah. 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 They don't have to exhaust it. Okay. Spangler Box is an artifact and it exhausts to purge a creature in play. If you do that, your opponent gains control of Spangler Box. And if it leaves play, then all the cards it purged go back to play. Whew, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's oh my goodness. It's a crazy card to play against, especially if your opponent owns Spangler Box and Nexus.
Yeah.
So being able to Spangler Box a bunch of different times and only get creatures of your opponent in there is
Right.
awesome. It's a great combo. Otherwise, especially if your opponent doesn't have logos in their deck, you're able to purge a creature on their side and just have it sit there because they would have to call logos in order to be able to use it.
Right.
So and that's pretty useless.
Right. Yeah, and interestingly, like when you use it, it goes over to your opponent exhausted, so it's gonna even if they do have logos or did want to do it, it would take them a turn
Mm-hmm.
before they could get around to using it. So it's pretty reasonable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, cool. Okay. And then next we have Strange Gizmo, which gains an amber, and after you forge a key, destroy each creature and artifact. Wipe the board.
I, I I don't completely understand this card. It's a totally logos card, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
just you forge. I'm gonna forge a key, and I just want to destroy everything.
Everything. Yeah. So yeah, I feel like I mean if you're ahead and you have board control, you probably didn't want to play this.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are behind, then and you're like desperately trying to get to this, sometimes it's a lot of effort because
Mm-hmm.
because you're being held down. So I feel like it can sometimes help, but it's definitely very situational, and
Absolutely.
there's a lot of situations where it makes sense to discard it.
Yes. Yeah. I don't own it. I don't own a deck with this card in it yet.
Hmm.
Um, but it's very intriguing to me.
Yeah,
I feel like it could do a lot of good, but at the same time, uh, I don't know. It's one of those cards.
yeah, yep. Okay. Um, Next up, we have the Howling Pit, which gains an amber when you play it, and then it acts like a mother to both players. You both draw an extra card.
Yeah. If you want a fast game, this is the card for you.
Yeah. Yep.
Being able to draw that one extra card every turn um, makes you go through your deck so much faster. You
Yeah.
get through your whole deck within what is it? 5 turns instead of 6. If you're getting rid of your hand every single time,
Right.
it's amazing.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
couple that with a couple of extra mothers. It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I think similar to like Speed Sigil, it's dangerous. You run the risk of enabling your opponent more than you enable yourself with this, just depending on what they have and what you have. So, it's worth considering discarding it. Although, um, if you're just trying to have a fun game, this is a good way to do it.
Yeah, the amber on it makes it very tempting every single time.
Yes, for sure.
I always hate discarding cards with amber on them.
Yep. Um, okay, next up we have a solid contestant for most disturbing card art. Dysenia. Um, Dysenia is a 4 power creature, and when you play it, your opponent discards all their archives cards, and you gain an amber for each card discarded this way. Um, this can sometimes just be a dumb 4 power creature.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sometimes it can completely wreck your opponent. Sometimes it can get you back a creature that was held in the zoo.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep. Yeah, very powerful against the zookeeper decks. Um, and the only card that affects your opponent's archive. So obviously it's a rare. Not too many
yep.
decks have this card in it. I happen to have one with it in it, and been able to use it both to very good effect and, like you were mentioning, just putting it out there as a 4 power creature. So
Yep.
it's obviously extremely situational, like all rare cards are, but
Yep.
I like just the possibility of being able to get rid of your opponent's archive is great.
Right.
Like that makes it worth it.
Yeah, totally. Okay. Cool. Next we have Harlan Mindlock, which is just a 1 power creature. But when you play it, you take control of an enemy flank creature until Harlan Mindlock leaves play. So
Mm.
is not a permanent control.
Yeah. It's like a little mini color of subordination, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, and being able to take control of your opponent's creatures, such a good feeling sometimes for you, of course, not for them.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if that creature belongs to Logos,
Yeah.
um, or
Sybil, come.
belongs to one of the other houses in your deck.
Yeah. Yep. Cool. Okay. Then we have Neutron Shark.
I'm
Uh,
not gonna sing it.
oh, good. Okay. I would have forgiven you. So Neutron Shark, only one power, but on play, fight, and reap, anytime this thing does anything, it destroys an enemy creature or artifact and a friendly creature or artifact. And then you discard the top card of your deck, and if that card is not Logos, you do it again.
This card is definitely like up there on my favorite cards of the game.
Yeah.
Neutron Shark. The card art is great.
Uh huh.
The fact that it's a shark is great. Like it's awesome. I don't. It's made out of neutrons. I don't know what it's made out of. But it's an extremely amazing board wipe. Being
Yeah.
able to get artifacts and
Yeah.
creatures, no matter where they are on the board, what they're protected by. Being able to just gobble them up and send them off to the discard pile
Yeah.
is
It
awesome.
it is funny. Like Logos does not love destroying things as much as Dis, but when they do it,
Yeah,
they're more thorough.
exactly,
Um,
exactly.
yeah, and I Neutron Shark is also just such a great case study for like how rules resolution works.
Hmm.
Um, because so if it destroys itself, uh, you finish doing the all the you finish doing the text, right? So you go all the way through the discard the top card of your deck,
Hmm.
um, and you get to the part. Let's say it's not Logos. You get to the part where it would say trigger this effect again, but then you go to read the effect and the effect isn't there anymore.
Hmm.
So it anyway when you trigger the effect, you the whole effect goes on the um, goes on the conveyor belt to get resolved. Um, but then it does have to still be around when you go to read it again. Anyway,
Correct.
so
Yeah,
just interesting nerd thing there, which is appropriate for Logos.
yeah. I like figuring things out like that. It's a hard card to understand, but when you
Yeah,
do, it's a lot easier to understand it. So yeah, just knowing that once this card is off the board, if it destroys itself,
yeah,
the you complete the effect but don't repeat. Complete but don't repeat. It's a good little rhyme.
yes,
But
and important recent clarification I believe was if you don't have a card to discard, then you don't, right? Because you only
Mhm.
cycle your deck when you go to draw,
Correct.
and then you do not trigger the effect again.
Awesome. I actually didn't know that. I would
Oh,
assume. Yeah, I guess that makes sense though. So
yeah,
being able to like not being able to discard would stop the effect because you can't discard anymore.
right.
Um,
Because yeah, you go to read the if that card, and there is no that card, and so then you just stop.
mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. Okay. Um, cool. Osmo Martianologist is 2 power, has elusive, and when it fights or reaps, you heal 3 damage from a Mars creature or stun a Mars creature. That's super niche.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this card. It's somehow it's really the first big house hate card in Logos that we've
Uh huh.
seen. Um, Obviously the picture of the Brobnar guy on
Yeah.
remote access was a bit of hate towards Brobnar, but this is the one that's really like
Yeah. Specific.
we don't like specific towards
Yeah.
Martians. So um, usually cards that are really specific towards targeting a certain house are just not that great. I'm never happy to see this
Right.
card.
Although I think where like I wouldn't mind seeing this, I guess, is next to Mars, where I'm thinking, okay, I'll heal my Mars creatures.
Hmm.
That could be okay, but then there's probably better effects to have than heal 3.
Yeah, the fact that he's elusive makes him a bit weird.
Yeah,
Um, like, and if you don't have Mars in your deck, and your opponent doesn't have Mars in in their deck, like, it's just,
yeah,
yeah, it gets interesting. Like,
just
he's
a
just
thing.
yeah, just a thing, just an elusive thing for reaping.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, then we have Psychic Bug, which gains you an amber when you play it, has 2 power, and when you play it or when you reap, you look at your opponent's hand. That's interesting.
Hmm. Yeah, it's useful knowing what's in your opponent's hand. Most of the time when I've played this card, it's just been knowing what's in my opponent's hand and making
Yeah.
myself brace for it.
Right. Right. Yeah. How often can you really make a hugely different decision? Um.
Hmm.
Okay.
It
Uh-huh.
can affect your. I will say, I played it a few times, and it can affect the play, the order that you play cards in.
Yeah.
So, I actually wrote a note on the deck that I have this card in it, and the note says, "Play Psychic Bug first, or use Psychic Bug first."
Nice.
Knowing what's in your opponent's hand first is really really important. Like, say you have um 3 amber and they're about to forge,
Right.
and you figure out that they have a bait and switch in their hand, so
Right.
you don't put a ton of amber into your pool because you know they
Right.
have bait and switch. So
Right.
that sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
Hmm.
Cool. Okay. Then we have Replicator, which is 2 power, and when it reaps, you trigger the reap effect of another creature in play, as if you controlled that creature.
Hmm.
Um, that's interesting.
Really
I mean,
cool.
yeah, and it's you can do it on your own or on your opponent's creature.
Yeah, I find it funny that there's a bunch of them sitting on the shelf behind on the machinery.
They've been replicating.
I think it's funny.
Life
But
will find a way.
yes, yes. Um, this is like really, it's another niche card. Like,
Yeah.
there's not a ton of creatures that have reap effects in the first place.
Uh huh.
Um, obviously, the Logos cards have a lot of reap effects. Some disc cards have good reap effects. Um, but there's a lot of creatures that have reap effects, but it's just not a ton of them. So I don't
Yes.
think it's even half of them that have them. So
No, but it's. I mean, it's some.
yeah,
There's probably.
yeah,
There's some.
yeah. So
Uh. Okay. Then we have a card I keep getting, it's good. Uh, Skippy Time Hog, which is only 1 power and only has a play effect. But when you play it, your opponent can't use any cards on their next turn.
so weird. I've never gotten this card,
Huh.
but I've had it played against me one time,
Uh huh.
and it just ruined me. I had a
Yeah.
huge board state,
Yeah.
and they played this card, and it's like, dang it, like,
Yeah.
I can't use my
Nope.
creatures that I have out.
I can't do any of the
It's
things.
Yeah, yeah, it's extremely good at playability.
Yeah, I am a little disappointed because I think it should have been like a Timadillo, but I mean, I don't. It doesn't look very hoggish to me.
No, yeah, I can see what you're talking
Looks
about.
it looks very armadillo-ish,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
whatever. Nobody asked me.
Nobody cares about your opinion
Yeah,
in FFG.
no, no one does. No one should. It's okay. Okay. Um, Next we have Time Traveler, who gains you an amber when played, and makes you draw 2 cards. Only has 2 power, but can exhaust to shuffle himself back into your deck.
Did you mention it gains you an amber?
Yeah, yeah, I did. I did.
It's oh, never mind. I must have missed it.
Okay,
But
I did.
yeah, the fact you're able to gain an amber, draw
Yep.
2 cards, and then potentially put them back into your deck to do it again
Yeah.
it's amazing. This
Yeah.
is definitely one of the best cards in the game, and this coupled with the next card, it
Yeah.
goes hand in hand with the next card
Yeah.
we're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want me to mention the name right now,
Yeah. No.
but
Go for it. I mean, and
um,
it literally goes hand in hand because if you get Time Traveler, which is a rare,
mm-hmm.
then Help from Future Self is auto included.
Yes, help from future self. Search your deck and discard pile. It doesn't make you choose or guess. Deck and discard pile for time traveler and put him into your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, and that also gains you an amber. So this is potentially a 2
Yeah.
amber turn and 2 cards.
Yeah.
But also after you play help from future self, you shuffle your discard pile into your deck, I believe,
Yep.
as well. So, yeah, so it's a good little mini screaming cave without shuffling your hand in, and especially if you played some good cards. But
Yeah.
Help from Future Self does not get shuffled back in.
Well, and I love. I mean, like clearly you have in Time Traveler you have the hand reaching down, grabbing him on the shoulder, and then
Mm-hmm.
in Help from Future Self, he's being pulled up. It seems like in the artwork the art on Help from Future Self is chronologically after the art on Time Traveler, but in gameplay you almost always are going to play Help from Future Self and then Time Traveler. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's wow.
Mm-hmm. Mind blowing.
Wow. Yeah.
Paradox.
Yeah. Oh man, what's that movie?
Back to the Future.
No. Oh man. No, if you want to watch a movie about time travel, not Edge of Tomorrow. Google. What are you talking about?
Edge of Tomorrow is a good movie. I've seen that one.
No,
But
it is a great movie. It's
yeah.
not a primer. It is a great movie. It's not a like super cerebral movie. It's like shooting aliens. If you want to watch like a great movie that is not super heavy on action but is very deep in like the nerdy like what could happen with time travel, watch Primer.
Huh.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that movie.
It is very good.
Somewhere in the back of my brain, I kept on thinking you were going to mention Interstellar, but that's not as much time travel as it is dimensions and stuff.
Ooh,
But
very Logos-y though.
Yeah.
That's a good Logos movie. Okay. Yeah. Watch Primer.
Okay, I'll write that down.
Try. Yeah. Okay. Then we have Vespelon Theorist, which is 2 power and elusive. Reap, choose a house, reveal the top card of your deck. If it is of that house, archive it and get an amber. Otherwise, discard it. Okay.
Man, I don't even know what to start thinking of this card. Obviously, if you know what card is on the top of your deck, it's better. But potentially discarding a card that's really, really good is just a bad option for me. I think I would discard this card if I did. But I don't know.
I think it's fine. I mean, I think it's fine. It's like, I mean, unless you know your deck is packed with bait and switches or something,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's okay. But I haven't gotten this card yet, so I don't actually have experience with this.
Me neither. I honestly can't say for certain how it works, but just theorizing about it.
Yeah, I would like to see it.
I guess something.
Hypothetically.
Hypothesizing
Sure.
about it.
Yeah.
Theorizing because I haven't tested it yet.
Yeah.
scientific method.
Yeah, as is appropriate for Logos
Yep.
science. Okay, so and then last one, we have an upgrade: transposition sandals gains you an amber, and the creature you put it on can exhaust to
Mm-hmm.
swap with another friendly creature in the battle line, and you may use that other creature this turn. I think the move part isn't so good, but that part sounds good.
Yeah. Sometimes I put this on a Titan mechanic that's on the outside, and I swap it with a creature that's on the inside, and I get to use that creature. So,
That's deep.
yeah, usually, you're able to swap it with the creature, and you basically you trade positions, and you're still able to reap with that other creature.
Right.
So you're not losing a reap by using this card,
Mm-hmm.
but you are able to move creatures around and change positions and all that. Like say they already use their one positron bolt, so
Mm-hmm.
you can move a creature, a higher power creature, to the outside again
Yeah.
or whatever. So it's yeah, this can be pretty next level if you begin to strategize about using it.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. All right. So I just want to point out, Mark, that there are as many stealing cards in Logos as there are aces in a standard deck of playing cards.
Hmm. Wow. That's very deep.
Science tells us this.
Yeah, four stealing cards. I guess that's yeah, that's I would have to count to see what other amounts there are in other houses. So like Brobnar, I don't think there's as many in Brobnar. So um I'll let you have this one.
They're not shadows or discs, but there's a little.
Yep,
They have more than Sanctum.
that's true. Yeah.
Uh, okay, cool. Well, thanks for doing this. That was fun.
Yeah, that
Um,
was a lot of fun. I
yeah,
love this house.
yeah. Logos is great, and I think yeah, it's I really like when I feel like I have strong logos, but sometimes it's just about making the other houses stronger too, and that can be good.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it all depends.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All
For
right.
science.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Thanks, and we'll look forward. I think what do I have left here? I think what we have left are Shadows and Untamed. So
Ooh, both
maybe I can talk you into
amazing
doing one or
houses.
both of those with me. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. All right. Have a good night.
You too.